Welcome to Flash from Scratch, Tutorial 32, Action Script. I have the CS5 program open. I'm going to go up and start a new FLA. Keeping the Action Script 3 default, but I'm going to change the width to 700 here and the height to 550. Then press OK. That's the size I'm making this stage, 7 by 550. And I have its fit window so I can see it all. The first layer I'm going to call Ball, B-A-L-L, and I'm going to pick up my oval tool. If you haven't got it, to the rectangle tool, pick up the oval tool, select layer 1. I have a black stroke and a red fill, and I'm going to draw a ball. While it's highlighted, I'm going to go up to frame 15, insert a keyframe, and then I'm going to go to frame 30, insert keyframe, frame 50, insert a keyframe, and up to about frame 95, insert a keyframe. Go to this frame 15. With your selection tool, just move the ball somewhere like that. Select that frame 30. It went to here. That's where it was on 15. Let's put it down here on 30. On frame 50, let's put it back up here, and we'll leave it where it is here. Go back to anywhere in this first section, right click, make a classic, create classic tween, create classic tween in each of these sections, create a classic tween, create classic tween, and I think that's it. So let's just test that, and we'll see that ball just bounce around the stage over and over and over. It's going very slow here because it goes a lot of frames in that little bit of time. Lock that layer, insert a new layer, call it Buttons, B-U-T-T-O-N-S, call it Buttons, and select frame 1, pick up I want no stroke, so come up here, click on this where next to the pencil, and click this square with the red line through it. And for the fill, let's grab a green color for the first one, and let's right here make a little rectangle. So pick up the rectangle tool, and here's a rectangle. Pick up selection tool, highlight it, modify it up here, convert it to a symbol. We've done this before. Make sure button is selected, and B-U-T-T-O-N underscore B-T-N, there's button. And I'm going to copy that, right click, copy it. Okay. Now, right now we have in here, there's our tweens that we made, those 4 tweens. There's the button, the button called button, and this is an instance of that button. If I highlight it, this is an instance of it. So let's paste that what we copied, and if you didn't paste it, it's just this rewritten, and we're going to call it button 1. Copy this, copy, open this panel, this library panel, it's right here. Drag that button out on the stage here. Over under style, it might be closed like that. Color effects, open them, and click here and go to what's called the tint, and move these so that the tint is up around 100-ish. The blue is all the way up, and the green and the red are back here. That gives me a blue color button. Up here, paste that name and change it to button number 2. These are just instances. Open the library panel, draw another one in. Down here, set this time tinted. Again, put the red up and bring these two back. So I have a red button. Open the library panel, bring it on again, paste it in that, and this time it's going to be button 4. Now I think I have a 1, a 2, oh we didn't paste it, we do this one, paste it in here, 3, and this one is button 4, and let's make this a yellow. So tint yellow takes red and green to make yellow. Okay, let's lock that layer that has all those buttons in it, insert a new layer, and now we're going to write some action script. So call this AS, and it's good practice to keep all your actions on its own line, its own layer, and don't put anything else but action script on this layer. So somewhere here around frame 20, right click, insert a keyframe or blank keyframe, and right here is actions panel. If you don't have it here, open up Windows, find the actions, click on it, and here it is. Let's say it opens like that. There it is for you. Take it and click on this name and drag it and put it right up there, so it's always there, because once you start writing action script, you're always going to be using action script. The actions panel is really made up of 3 parts. It's this plane right here that you write your script in. It's called a script pane. Over here you have all these different code hints, and that's called the actions toolbox. And right here I have a little button here that opens up, and this is like a history. It's called a script navigation. It tells me any buttons, there's them buttons I made, if I had any buttons and where they would be and things like that. Okay, so I don't use them very much, so I usually sit like this, and if I look right here and click this, that gives me all kinds of different codes. That's one way of finding codes, but I don't usually use them. Let's go to code snippets. Okay, remember we're on this frame number 20, action panels open, and this thing called code snippets. Click that, and these are some actions, things you can do. Click to go to a web page, drop and drag. So these are pre-made codes that you can learn to use, but I want to do this one, timeline navigation, and stop at this frame. So if I click on that, double click, click on it, stop the playhead. Yes, I want to do that, so click on it. You see what I did? And insert it. Okay. So that inserted that code snippets for me. So if I open this actions up right here, now you see I got this AS down here. That's the actions layer I made. Okay, when you use that code snippets, it makes its own layer called actions, and it was still frame 20. So if I go back to this timeline, there's the line I made, there's where I would have put my code, but because I'm just trying to show you how to use these code snippets, when I created that, I selected a frame and that put it right there. So when I open the actions panel, I'm not seeing it because I'm selecting the AS, the action script layer that I made. Here's the action script layer that was made by the snippets, and in it is this stop, and here's an explanation: stop at this frame. I usually take these out. Now that would be using the code snippets. What I would have done is I wouldn't have used the code snippets, so let's go back to here. Let's delete this layer. Again, click this layer, open the actions panel, and I would have just wrote stop, stop, open bracket, close bracket, that's above the uppercase of the number 9 and 0, and then a semicolon. Most lines of ActionScript end with a semicolon. That was the exact same thing as if I used that code snippets. So now when I tell this program to run, it's going to start here. It's going to move along. Now watch, and the ball is going to move along, Here it's going to change directions, and it's going to stop here because the playhead has a timeline action and it's saying stop on that frame 25. So I'm going to test it. There goes the ball and it stopped. Okay? And if I look here, there's down here, there is that stop. That would be considered a timeline or time action. Let's unlock this buttons layer. This contains my buttons. Let's select this green button for a minute. And that's the button that is called button 1. Okay. Let's open the actions panel. And again, these code snippets. Okay, this is for this action 1, right? Just layer 1. Nothing's on here now because we took it out. And let's code snippet, online navigation, and I want to go to and stop next frame. Here we go. Click and go to next frame and stop. So if I click on that, it'll give me this. Click here. This tell me, and then click here. And now I got to give an instance name. So if I look in here, it says click to go to the next frame and stop. And right here, I click on it, and that was called BUTTON button 1 underscore BTM. And if I say insert, it will put that code in there for me. And if I go back to scene 1 by the main timeline, it did the same thing. It creates this action panel, this action layer, and that's one thing I don't like about the code snippets. So let's just click on that layer, open it, come down here. I had it because it was still looking at 20, where I put the stop, remember? And there is the code. It says click on this button to go to the next frame and stop. When I use that code snippets, I think I clicked the button twice, so I got the information both times. The only thing that's important here is that you copy the information that I'm showing you to copy. The rest of it is all going to be trashed when we delete the layer. And let's take this information right here, copy it. Okay, copy it for a minute. I'm going to now again delete that actions layer. Right click, delete it. I'm going to select frame 1 again of my actions layer. Open the actions panel, and there's nothing in there. There's what's in that frame 20 is that stop. But on frame 1 on frame 1 there's nothing. But I'm going to paste that snippet. It's now, this is really quite fancy, and we're going to change some things. Let's go up to this great big long name here, and let's just call this, delete all this, let's just call this next frame, and I'll explain it to you. Same here, let's delete this and delete this. Now I'll go through this with you. It says capital BUTTON 1 underscore BTN. That's the button. That's this button right here, that if I look here, that's the name we gave, the instance name we gave that button. So I'm talking about that button. Okay, period. And this is a long word, one word, add event listener. It's a small a, it's a capital E and a capital L. If you spell that right, it will turn blue. There's the open bracket, mouse event, capital M, capital E, period. These are all capitals, CLICK, click, and then there's a comma. So all of this will turn blue, and all of this will turn blue if it's spelled, and maybe even that comma, maybe even that period, if it's spelled right. Then after the click is a comma, and here you can put anything else, anything you want. This is what's called making a function, and this is the name of that function. And because I'm choosing to go to the next frame. That's what I'm calling this function, next frame. And it doesn't matter how you spell this as long as it doesn't turn a different color. If it turns a different color, you're using a restricted word and you can't do that. So I'm calling it next frame, capital N, capital F. I then right click and copy that. Copy it. Then I got a comma and a semicolon to end that first line. Now, so when the button is pushed, it's a mouse, when the button is pushed, clicked on, it'll jump into this function. So F-U-N-C-T-I-O-N, that's a purplish color. If you spelled it right, that's what you get. There's a space. Now we copied that next frame and I paste it in here. Open bracket. E-V-E-N-T, all small letters, and a colon. I copy most event. Right click, copy, paste it in here. Close bracket, colon, void, void, that's just communications back to and from the computer. Now, this thing is called an open curly bracket. That open curly bracket is the uppercase of the key that is to the right of the P. That's the open curly bracket, and next to that is a closed curly bracket, the uppercase. And whatever's between these curly brackets is going to be done when this button 1 is pushed. And all we're asking it to do is go to the next frame. So NEXT, capital F-R-A-M-E, that will turn blue. Open bracket, close bracket, semicolon. So let's see if this works when I test the movie. Testing the movie. It stopped because we're told to stop on frame 20. And when I press this, every time I press this, it's going to go to the next frame, next frame, next frame. And it will do that until it gets to the very last frame. We'll just do it once here and show you. And once it gets to the very last frame, there is no next frame. So that's as far as it goes. So wherever you start clicking this green button on, say next frame, it'll continue. If I go back to the main timeline, so no matter where you are, if you're up here and something happens and you start clicking that green button, it'll jump one frame at a time until it gets here, and that's as far as it can go. So now let's look at this timeline, and right here, see this frame right here? Well, let's go here, frame 40-ish. That's when the ball is down here. So now we're going to take this button. I'm highlighting that button right there just to have a look at it. I think that is button number 2. Yep. Okay. So let's go back to that frame 1 of the actions panel. Open it up and right click, copy that. I'm going to copy all that code. Put some spaces in. Paste it. I know it's button 2. Okay. And if okay, I'm just going to leave this the same for now, and instead of next frame, I'm going to tell it to go to that frame we said way up here around 40. Okay, so I'm opening that actions panel again. So instead of next frame written here, write GOTO, small letters, capital AND, PLAY, capital P, open bracket, 40, close bracket, semicolon. So now when I press button 2, doesn't matter where this ball is or where the playhead is, it's going to jump to frame 40 and continue to play. Now I purposely put an error on there to show you what happens, how good this is. So if I try to test my movie, it gives me an error. It says on scene 1, the layer that I called action script, frame 1, line 10, it tells me exactly where it is. There's a duplicate function definition. So frame 1, line 10. There it is there, frame 1 of my actions layer, line 10, and it's this next frame. I'm using it up here, so I can't use it again. So instead of calling it next frame, I'm going to call it GOTO, go to frame 40. So I'm going to call it. Now I'm going to copy this I don't want no spaces here. Don't want no spaces here. And I'm going to copy this whole thing, right click, copy it, and stick it in here. Paste. Now let's test it. We won't get that error. And we know that if I press this, it's going to jump like that. But no matter where it is, if I press this, it's going to jump into that frame 40. No matter where it is, it's going to go back to that frame 40, which is down here, no matter where it is. See that? Let's do the red button, which is button number 3. Again, let's copy this code. Right click, copy it. Click here, put a couple of spaces in. Paste it. I know it's button 3, so just change that to a 3. And I just want this time to stop. Just stop wherever it is. No matter where it is, stop. So we know how the code for stop. It's stop. S-T-O-P, open close bracket in the semicolon. And we'll write stop here. S-T-O-P. Now, see that turn blue? I cannot use it as a function name because it's a reserved name. But I think I can put a capital S, which is not a reserved name. So now I can copy this and paste it. Now, if you're finding this too much, I suggest you do it over and over and over again, because once you catch on to it, it is very valuable. So now we got 3 buttons going on here. Let's test this. This one makes it bounce anywhere once. This one makes it go around town. This one, stop it. See? Go, 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 go. Go. Stop. Go. Okay. Stop. And we got one more button to do something with. Okay. Let's copy all this again. Right click, copy. Click at the end, put a couple of spaces in, and paste. And this time it's button 4. And if I have a stop, I'm going to have a play. P-L-A-Y, play. By now you realize this has to be a capital P, P-L-A-Y, and P-L-A-Y. Let's go back to scene 1. This should work. Control, test movie. There we go. It stopped. That tells it to play. This says go one step at a time, no matter where you are. This one's going to put the ball back here, frame 40, and tell it to run. This one is to stop it, play, stop, play, stop, play, stop, play. Now there's one more thing I like to put in, and it's right in here between these two, close to this one. I'm going to insert a blank keyframe here. Okay. Open the actions panel. It tells me that's frame 15, I believe that. And I'm going to put a go to, G-O-T-O, capital A-N-D, and S-T-O-P, go to and stop, frame 80. Go to and stop, open bracket, 80, close bracket, semicolon. And I'm going to jump way up to here somewhere around frame 80. So the play head's going to, when it reaches here, it's going to, and the ball is here, we're going to say jump to 80, so it's going to miss this one. It's going to automatically jump, and the ball is going to jump from there to there in one motion. So when I test it, when I first test it, it's going to want to move from here all the way to here. But before it gets here, where it is there now, which is frame 20, it's going to hit frame 15, which will automatically tell it to jump. So it's going to miss this instruction. But if I hit one of the buttons before that, it'll do whatever the button says. So let's give that a little test. We'll see if it jumps there. See that? It jumped from there to frame 80 and stopped. So I can go hit until I reach the end of my frames. Now I can tell it to play. And why is it jumping back like that? Because it's going to that frame 80. So let's take that out. Let's take that all the way out again. Delete that, just so you can see how that worked. And notice that when I deleted it, I don't have that little A in there that tells me their action script. So one last thing I want to do. I'm on frame 15 where we just removed that action script. I want to open the actions panel. It's telling me I'm on action script layer frame 15, and you can see there's nothing there. Click on this little button right here. That opens this actions toolbox, which we didn't use. But down here there's another button. Open that, click that one, and it opens what's called the script navigator. And it's telling me I'm displaying over here in this script pane, I'm displaying what's on frame 15, and there's nothing. If I click frame 1, it's now telling me that it's action script layer frame 1, and there's all that code we put on. And the other place we have code is on frame 20. And there's frame 20. So if you're looking for some script and you have a lot of action frames, this is the best place to come and look. Instead of clicking each one each time, you can just come here and click them here. You do that way, or you can do it from this navigation panel. So if you don't get it, go through it a few times. Just do one point at a time, and once you catch on, it is well worth it. I hope you learned something from this tutorial, and I hope you use what you learn.